Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to today's bonus. When I came across this interview a couple days ago, I had actually forgotten about this interview. This is one of the first interviews I ever did with this gentleman from the Lake Pickwick, LBL area, former sheriff, former park ranger, and was like, there is a lot of information and a lot of really cool experiences. Before we get into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to PayPal, Patreon, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. Yes, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this bonus upload, shall we? All right, guys, today I have a guest who I am blessed to have on. He has appeared on a few cryptid channels. He has spoken with many other investigators and interviewers, I guess. He's got a lot of information. He has a lot of law experience. He was a police officer, a deputy, park ranger. So enough of this. I'm going to give you Donald Coleman Jr. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak to your subscribers.
Well, they're all with you. You know, we're all a big family on this channel. So, like I said, you've been on a few other channels. I do it a little different. I give you 45 minutes of my record time that I have, and the floor is yours. So I'm giving you the floor, Donald. Here you go.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Donald Coleman Jr. I'm a certified, academy-trained, post-certified Tennessee law enforcement officer, graduated from the Police Academy in Donaldson, Tennessee, May 1981. I was class 279, and I have 2 years at Dyersburg State Community College, Dyersburg, Tennessee, and police science. I'm a 1975 graduate from Dyersburg High School. My original hometown is in Memphis, Tennessee. My dad and uncle bought a VW franchise in Dyersburg, Tennessee. Moved there when I was 9 years old, 1966. I was educated in Memphis and Dyersburg City school system. My parents always recreated on Pickwick Lake, which is in southern Hardin County, and Tishomingo County, Mississippi, and Lauderdale County, Alabama. It's 43,800 acres. It's 52 miles long, and it's got full of great waterfalls, great people. I got to see the old Pickwick passing to the new Pickwick. So I got the best of both worlds. I started coming up here when I was 4 years old in 1961. Before the bridge was on top of Pickwick Dam, you had to take the ferry across to Bellis Boattail, and the roads were all gravel back, and they weren't white, like tar and white rock. They were all gravel. So I got to see the old Pickwick passing to the new Pickwick. And so my cousin had a cabin on Bruton Branch Cove, and I grew up there on weekends with the Edwards family from Grand Junction, Tennessee. Scott is my second cousin, and his daddy and my mother are first cousins. So anyway, Scott has 3 college degrees from Atlanta, Georgia, and one thing that he and I like to do is we like to do the river journeys, and we have been all over the Tennessee, almost 3/4 of the Mississippi River, the Missouri River, the Ohio River, the Arkansas River, and and other smaller rivers, Yazoo River Canal, and the Wolf River. So we've been over a lot of places. In September of 2006, we took a 1,000-mile river journey. We put in at Memphis Mud Island, went all the way down to Vicksburg, Mississippi, and then we came up and went up the White River and to the Montgomery Locking Dam, and we locked all the way through the Arkansas River, and we ended up in Little Rock, Arkansas, and we went down to the Malibu River. It's a little short river where I have a marina slip. Took a cab and stayed at the Peak. We sleep on the it's a 1968 19-foot winter ski boat. He's got it fixed like a pop-up. It has the mosquito screen and everything. So we enjoy roughing it and cooking on the boat. And the next day we're at in high society at the Little Rock Peabody or the Memphis Peabody. So we get the best of both worlds. And Scott has not had the experience of seeing these cryptids like I have. And I've had them with my mom and dad in broad daylight. I had them with my second wife and her children, and in Mississippi, both in Mississippi, by the way. One was in Scott County at Harpinsville Road in 1991, and it was solid. It looked like a hyena with a lion's mange on the back. This two-tone color, but the markings didn't add up. So it looked like a hyena. I thought, well, somebody's, they keep these wild exotic animals, and maybe this thing, broke free and is running wild out here. Ran in front of my car. I had all of 4 seconds. I saw something coming out of the roadway, and I hit the high beams on, and I caught that animal, and it was right in front of my car. It looked to be 8 feet on all fours, and at that time I was 6'4", 330 pounds, and wore about a 16.4 EQ. So I was a big man, and that thing it made me feel like a midget. Now, I don't mean to upset the small community, but that's what that thing looked like to me. Ran in front of the car. I immediately wanted to stop and get out, but my wife yelled at me, you're going to put us in danger. Get out of here. And I went down to my park. It's through Walnut Grove, Mississippi on Highway 492, and it's in a little community called Damascus. And I was a park manager there, and we lived on the same park. And so she said, if I were you, don't say anything to anybody about what we saw. So you could lose your park and be out of a job. So I kept my mouth shut, never told anybody, never told the Game Wardens, Mississippi Wildlife Fisheries and Park Division of Parks and Rec. I never told anybody. So nobody knew what I knew. I kept quiet until 2015 when I got to share it first on FamilyMonsters.com with Lon Streichler, and then with Big Conda on episode 71, and then I was on Dogman, Oklahoma Sasquatch Encounters with Lance Hightower, episode 15 in part 2, episode 25 part 1, dates back to a 1980 1981 Bigfoot encounter when I was a police officer in Collinwood, Tennessee, which is in Wayne County, zip code 38450. I had an encounter, and I covered that up. I never told anybody. And that really, I think I had a nervous breakdown once I got back to police headquarters, which was in the fire department and police headquarters and City Hall were one big building.
Donald, can you share that encounter with us, please? Because you shared that a little bit with me. I'd like to hear the whole thing if you could. Okay.
What prompted me to be on the lookout, we had gotten calls from people that their fruit trees, their gardens were being raided, and we were thinking that Natural Trace Parkway runs parallel to the city limits of Collinwood on 13th South. And we were thinking that these people hitchhiking would come in. We're doing the rating of the people's gardens. That's what we were looking at. I had talked to the Natural Trace Federal Park Ranger, so I said, check whoever's in these little rows next to our city limits and find out what's going on. So we got him on the case. It was Gary W. Sanderson was chief of police at the time, and Freddie H. Bone was sergeant, and I was the patrolman, Donald Coleman Jr. I had the midnight to 8 a.m. Jerry and I were sharing an apartment together. He had the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Freddie had the 4 p.m. to midnight. Sometimes I would get out with Freddie when it got real busy and we needed an extra officer. I'd come on duty. I only got $650 a month, but in Tennessee law enforcement, you're on 24/7. You're on call 24/7. So they can call you out of bed to do stuff. And they did that several times with me. And that's just the way it was. But I was patrolling around. There's a little city park, and there's a water tower. It's at the first, only red light we had. And there was Rich's Amico was right across the street. And you go down that road, and you turn to the left, and you'll see Household Used Lumber Company, and there's a little, it looks like a U shape, and there are houses all in, but it was heavily wooded. And so I would park my car and get out, look around, make sure there's no break-ins at the lumber company. And he was a big employer, so we gave him major security at night. And I heard tree limbs snapping like they were laden with ice, and they were just like wow. I go, what in the world? And this is in August. I think it was the 27th. I could be wrong on the dates, but if you go back to Dogman, Oklahoma, Dogman Sasquatch Oklahoma Encounters is 25, episode 25, part 1. You'll understand what I went through. I'm not going to go into detail with that. Just listen, you'll understand. But I kept hearing things. I walked around. I had my KL flashlight. I walked around, and I had my hand on my gun. I was wearing a .357 Magnum 6-inch barrel, and I wasn't a Python. It was just a Smith & Wesson, like Starsky and Hutch. You wouldn't like that. I wanted one, a Colt .357, but they were too expensive to own back in those days. And so I went over there and I looked around. I couldn't see anything. And I went back to HQ, took a break. I had sour stomach. I had to take some medication. Went back on patrol, and I went back, and I thought, I got these leather shoes on, and if people are doing this, clearing land, they're going to hear me. So I went and got this tall grass off the side of the road, and it was up to my chest. It was like, I'm 6'4" at that time, and it was up. I had about a foot over those. It was tigers and ticks and all that in there, and I waded through it and kept the shotgun kind of off to the side. And I had .357 holstered, and I went around the building. I was going to go around the building in the second time, but something told me that you're fixing to step into something you're not ready for. And I felt like maybe it was the Lord pushing me toward the ground. I said, I don't want to lay down in this. I'll get covered with ticks and tigers. I don't want to do this. And I just felt like, you better go down face first, and you better go down right now. So I held the shotgun out, but everything was holstered. And as I was going down, I had the flashlight pointing about 10 feet up. When I was going down, I saw the red eyesight of this, I call it the shadow creature. And this thing, I go, oh my God. Like, oh my God, what is this? And I laid down face first, and this thing stepped out from the tree line. And when he took a step the ground shook. I said, "Oh, good God, I'm fixed to die." You know, that's what I thought at the time. I'm fixed to die, violent death. I'm not prepared for this. And so it took 2 steps toward me. I was 15 yards away from that. That's closer than you can imagine. Look on the football field at the 15-yard line from the goal. It's not that far. And so I laid down. I felt to take that second step, and I took the safety off the shotgun and cocked that .357 Magnum. I had gotten it out of when I heard the first step, I pulled it out. It was laying beside me on the left side, and I cocked that .357. And that thing just stood there, and I could actually feel it breathing on me. And I was shaking in my boots, and I'm thinking, I'm fixed to get into a gun battle right here next to these people's houses, you know, and there's no way that I can call for help. It's me and this thing. And I laid there and I said, "Lord, please take this thing out of here." And he turned around after I cocked that .357 Magnum. He turned around and he walked down the tree line and disappeared. I went back to HQ. I crawled on my hands and knees through that thick grass. I was so scared. Got in my patrol unit, went back to police headquarters, and I had a full-blown nervous breakdown. It was horrific. And so I went back the next day in daylight hours after the lumber company shut down, and I went down and I had a ladder, step ladder, and I picked up 13 feet off the ground, and I got 2 or 3 black hairs, and I measured the footprint was 20 inches and 6 inches across at the heel. And that was a monstrous Sasquatch. I decided I would never share that story. I kept it silent until 2017 when I told Lance Hightower about on episode 25, part 1. You can listen to that and get the entirety of what happened. And I decided, because I just got out of law enforcement academy and my law enforcement career was taking off, I decided I'm going to cover this up. And I covered it up. And then 30 years later, down the road from where that happened, right out of Collinwood, a woman was going to her barn in the early morning to get some fresh eggs, and she walked in on a 13-foot Bigfoot. I mean, eye to eye, within, extremely close proximity. And she ran screaming in the house and locking doors and all that. I guess Dogman, Bigfoot said, "I better get out of here. You know, I've been spotted." And so I got clarification that I saw what I saw and she saw what she saw. She went and told everybody in the beauty shop. Well, see, nobody knew about my encounter until I shared it in September 2017. But I actually had it in August of 1981.
That is,
and go ahead.
It's an intense story. Now, you said there was like a red eye shine.
Yeah. It was a cherry-colored eye shine. It was red. It was solid black. It was just inside the tree line, but my KL flashlight was shining on those red eyes, and that's when I knew to go down face first. And I was laying on my stomach face first in all that high grass, Johnson weed and stuff. And I just lost my bowels. My sour belly just went right there.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, and I had to go back, and it took me 2 showers, and I had to wash out. I just had to hand wash it in this sink, take my uniform off, and I went to the fire department and laid down on the floor and covered up with one of those blankets. You know, it's got aluminum foil on one side, for the heat. And I guarantee you I had a full nervous breakdown. And I sat there for about 3 hours crying my heart out. And this thing was the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced at that point in my life. And I was 24 years old in 1981.
Minus the sticks breaking, was there any, in its walking, did you hear any vocalization from it?
No, it was real quiet.
No breathing, nothing, just real
No
silent.
breathing. I felt the breath breathing like it was going to eat me alive, you know. But I think the Bigfoot or whatever this thing was saw me with that shotgun when I walked around the building the first time, and I had my lights on. I had my spotlights on either side of the car, shining up into the trees. So apparently it saw that I was totally armed the first time. And the second time, I parked further down the street and walked down that thick grass because my leather shoes was making a noise. So I wanted to sneak up on this thing. This thing was waiting for me.
That's intense. Now, how many... You've seen Dogman out there as well. What can you go into your Dogman encounters with us?
Yeah, the Dogman encounter started in the first encounter was August 1991, and we were going to Walnut Grove in Sebastopol. Walnut Grove's in Lee County, Sebastopol's in Scott County. They're two small agricultural hamlets, so there's nothing to do much in either one of those towns. So she had children by another marriage, and they wanted to go down the forest. There was more to do in Forest than in Carthage. So we went to McDonald's and, got them a Happy Meal and went to Sara Lee's and went to other stores, Walmart or something. And we were coming back, and it was around a little community I want to call Harper Valley. I think on the water tower it's at Harper Valley or something, either barn or something, but it's actually on Harpinsville Road. Harpinsville Road goes into the Bentonville National Forest, which is down around Morton, Mississippi, about 20 miles to the east of Forest, Mississippi, and there is Bigfoots and Dogman are in there. I later learned, in the 2015, 2018 time frame, I learned through researching over 10,000 hours and burned up 4 iPads and run up big Wi-Fi bills, but I talked to a lot of people. And looking back on it, this thing looked like a hyena in the face, but it had a lion's mane, like behind the lion's head.
Yep.
It was that. And the markings were two-tone color, like a tannish brown color. But the markings didn't add up to what it would be like on a real hyena, because I've seen those at the zoo.
Was it bipedal or was it on all fours?
It was on all fours.
Okay.
I didn't see any bipedals till about 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And that's around my house. But that's when these things first started appearing that I caught them. And around Harpinsville Road, there are a lot of chicken ranches out there where for like Green Acres and Tyson Chicken and all that, they grow these chickens in these chicken houses. They don't let them free range. They just, where they live and die are in the chicken houses. And they're all over the area down there. So apparently, Dogman likes to munch on dead animals and stuff, dead chickens. Probably one of his favorites. And so maybe Bigfoot too. But I went on home, and I was going to get out to look at it. My wife scolded me, and she said, "You need to shut up. You don't need to tell anybody." And I didn't. When I was with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fish and Parks, Division of Parks and Recreation, I was a park ranger and then later became the assistant park manager at Golden Memorial State Park, which is on Highway 492 outside of Walnut Grove, and the Masters Road goes into Sebastopol. in Scott County, and I have a 15-acre lake, and I had moved from there's a ranger residence up by the office, and I moved down the hill on the other side of the campground. It was a brand new 1989 Fleetwood 14 by 70 trailer I lived in, and they paid for all the electricity. That was part of our retirement package. It was called an emolument. You would get that when that would be added to your retirement. They took stuff out for your retirement and stuff. So it's a pretty good package. I made about $15,500 a year as a assistant park manager, but I had park management authority. So when we had our academies, I didn't go to the park ranger or assistant park manager. I went to the park manager academy. So I was around with everybody in a white shirt and a gold badge, but here I was wearing my regular. And at that time, they dressed us up like the Mississippi game wardens. When they put the wildlife, fisheries, and parks together, we had the same uniform and the same emblem. So people, when they see me coming down the road, they thought I was a game warden when actually I was just a park manager. You know, I didn't have the authority to check your, hunt license. I didn't have time to do all that stuff. So that was in 1991. I didn't tell anybody until February 2015 to Lon Stryker on FamilyMonsters.com. And then later on in September, that was in February, September, I told it to Vic Conniff on Dogman Encounters Radio, episode 71. That's where I shared that encounter with. And then I didn't have any more encounters, and I left the park system in March of 92, moved up to my wife's hometown of Savannah, Tennessee, which is in Hardin County. And 1995, my parents and I were driving around. And one thing we like to do is drive around and see how people landscape their homes and all that. So we were driving between Iuka and the Tennessee state line on Highway 25, and we were coming back between Gold Island Road and Elks Landing Road, and on the other side of the Elks Landing Road is the Corinth and Counts Railroad overpass bridge. I saw this creature coming out on the railroad levee next to a red brick a ranch house, and it was coming. It looked like a cow. I said, "Man, that cow's headed for trouble. You want to cross?" And it wasn't a cow. I sped up till I got right in half a car length. It was in front of me by half a car length, and that thing was bigger than my old Cutlass, 4-door. It was solid black. It had menacing, dark eyes. I just felt an evil presence right then and there. And it crossed in front of me, and I slowed down, but not too much, slowed down to about 40 miles an hour. And as I looked back, it went into about 50 yards away, it went into a ravine that was brown, and it was solid black, and it cloaked. I mean, just in front, I saw that thing just disappear, and the ravine is not that deep.
Huh.
And my parents I had my gun with me that time, and Dad said, "Don't you stop this car." My mother scolded me hardly, and "Don't you ever bring this up, and don't you tell anybody." So again, I kept that silent until 2015.
Right.
And, I said, "Mother, this thing is around where people live. There's houses, there's residential houses, there's cabins, there's a condominium right down the road. That thing, all right, when you go down Elk Landing Road, it will come out to Elk Landing Marina, which is on Yellow Creek. Gold Island Road comes out to the recreational area that's across from the original Gold Island. The 10-time waterway cut off, getting it to by car, and now they keep goats on the Gold Island. They've recently started that the last 5 years, and somebody came and killed them all one night, and they started back, and they were going to put in some more goats, and TVA said, "No, you only get one island, and you're not going to get the other island to put goats on." And so they had to I went to work at Aqua Glass from 94 to '04. And around 2003, this guy named Jack, he likes to kind of stress the truth a little bit. And he was telling me outside of Shiloh National Park, he was on Highway 142 in McNairy County, going towards a little community called Stantonville. And he was around, there's some couple of creeks in there, and his truck broke down near one of the creeks. So he said, I can walk out to the convenience store and call for help. He got 50 yards away from his truck. Something came out of the woods, growled at him, and he was running for his life and got back in the truck. And this wolf creature chased him on all fours and was yelling, just trying to get him out of his truck. So he stood and he just hunkered down in the floor, and he stayed in there till noon the next day. That guy was terrified. His voice was cracking. He was hyperventilating. I said, "That's all right, Jack. It's all right." And I said, "Jack, was this creature on 2 feet or 4?" He said, "No, he was on all 4, and it's super fast."
Wow. Well, when was your bipedal encounters? When did that happen?
2016, I think it was in February, March. I heard the howls, like I heard in 2015. I heard it howl, and I heard it make that, like that on your show, that wolf that makes that howl and then jumps out to try to grab you.
Yep.
It sounded just like that howl. And I had my window open because I have asthma, emphysema, and chronic bronchitis, COPD, and my air conditioning went out, so I put a fan in and turned the fan on high, and I had 2 other fans blowing to keep me cool up there because my parents had a propane heater downstairs. I'm up in the attic, and I had to seal off the door to keep burning up there. That's why I had all those fans going for. And then I heard that howl. I mean, it stopped me in my tracks. And I got up, turned all the fans off, and then I thought, it was coming. It was not one howl, but 2 different howls. So I'm thinking, okay, these are 2 different creatures. Now, it's pitch black dark, and the street light is 100 yards away from me. So I couldn't get a visual on it, but because of the pitch of his voice or his howl, I said, this had to be on 2 feet. And about that time, these people had these little dogs, and they were coming at those wolves, or Dogman, whatever. That could have been a werewolf for all I know. And the Dogman or werewolves, whatever they were, I didn't get a visual, and they tore into those dogs and killed every one of them. It was like 4 dogs slaughtered. And I heard the whole commotion going on. It was about maybe 50 feet from my window on that second lot facing north. I call that the Dogman killing fields. And so I went out the next day, and there were blood trails leading it to the back of Wind Springs Cove. I said, I'm not going in there. I mean, I thought, I saw the Dogman's werewolf's footprint, and they were huge. And I just thought, I'm going to cover this up. My mother and daddy going to freak out when they know that this creature we saw at Elk Landing is now on Windy Pines Lane in the North Wind Springs subdivision of Holiday Hill. They're going to freak out now. And so I didn't tell them anything. And then the Dogman came back when my parents were gone. They would go down the boat. We have a houseboat at the North Wind Springs Marina on Wind Springs Cove. They were down there recreating on the boat. I was up here. I just gone inside, and I think this was in March of 2016. That was March 2016. In March, I went and laid down on the couch facing south, and there's 3 empty lots that go road to road. Windy Pines Lane is the road I live on, but it also, my property line ends on the side of Dockside Cove Road that goes to the boat ramp in the marina on Wind Springs Cove off of 43,800-acre Lake Pickwick in southern Hardin County, Tennessee. I'm telling you where these things are. If you want to come over here, I'll show you where you can put your cameras up. But that's going to be your problem. It's not going to be mine. But I guarantee you need to watch where you're going. This is all, we're looking at 5,000 homes between Pickwick Dam and the state line on the Pickwick side of the road.
Right.
And on the Count side is your little mini farms and things like that people have. And I have seen posters on the telephone pole. Our cat's missing, our dog's missing. Anytime you let your animals out, you either got the wolf's going to get them, the pack of coyotes is going to get them, or Dogman is going to get them. One of the three is going to get your pet. And there have been a lot of missing pets and stuff out here. And I never look at, because of listening and watching other shows, I learned that when the crows start screaming and crying and just flurry off somewhere, because remember, they're on the tops of these pine trees, and some of them are 90 feet tall. So they're seeing things we can't see, like our bird dogs. They're seeing things we can't see yet. And these Dogman, they climb trees too. And I didn't know that until I saw one go up a tree. And buddy, I saw it go up a tree, and I ran in the house, and I thought, I can't believe this. They're on my street. I saw him go up a tree, all four legs go up a tree. I mean, he scooted up that tree fast.
Can you share? Can you share that whole scenario with us? Like, can you?
Yeah, I was outside watering my mother and daddy's plants and stuff like that in March, and it was a really hot day. It was really, it was unseasonably warm, like in the low 80s or something. We would get that kind of weather up here. I mean, down here in Tennessee, in northern Mississippi, and northwest Alabama. And I lived, as a crow flies, 2.5 miles from those state lines that meet out in the middle of Pickwick Lake. But anyway, as I was coming in, I caught peripheral vision, and I just turned around for just a split second, and I saw that thing go up that tree. I ran in the house. I think it scared the bejesus out of me. And I didn't. I hit all the blade, pulled all the shades down the windows. I didn't want them to see me where I was going in that house.
Now, when it climbed the tree, was it was it like as a human climbs a tree? Was it using its like hand?
No, it's more like what a cat would climb a tree.
Jesus.
But it was so fast.
Yeah. How tall would you say that one was?
Well, I would say it looked like a little about 6 foot tall, but it had the way it was climbing up that tree almost like a pole climber climbs up a telephone pole.
Right.
But it had fangs, claws that were just massive, and it was going up that tree. And I go, I can't believe it. And I thought, of course, if I call the sheriff's department and there ain't nothing up there, they're going to think I'm a lunatic. Now, then I'll have to answer the Department of Human Resources, so I never called the law enforcement ever on any of these cryptids. Remembering when I was in law enforcement, I couldn't call it in. I hid it. I had the evidence in 1981, and I hid it. I didn't tell the soul what went on.
Right.
I didn't tell him that I had a nervous breakdown. I didn't tell anybody. And I had to work the school crossing that morning and just back up the school guard, and I had my blue lights flashing and slowing people down, and I was wet from the neck down all the way to my shoes. And so when I went back to the apartment, and I said I had an accident in a car, and I tried to clean up best I could. And the chief got in the car, and he said, come back out here a minute. I go, I don't need a day like this. So I went back out there. He says, I said, I'll explain later. I need to go to bed now. Well, I went to bed. I couldn't sleep because of the fear of that Sasquatch. I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake the whole time. I didn't sleep for 3 days solid. I mean, that's how bad, how scared I was. And so when I saw that Dogman go up the tree across the street, I ran as hard as I could to get back in the house, pull all the shades down, and, you know, I said, dear Lord, don't let that thing attack me, you know. And, but the crows warned me that it was in the area because they went screaming. You know, there's the nature will tell you when you need to get out of the yard and go back in the house.
Right.
So I had to learn that the hard way. And then one time I was sitting on the deck, and this was in the summer of 2016. I was sitting on the deck, and there was a thunderstorm coming across. On the east side, you have Dry Creek, Pompey's Branch, Bruton Branch, State Line Islands. It was coming back towards me, moving east to west. And the storm was really getting rough, and the crows started screaming. Right, they were like right up into tall pine trees, about 100 feet away from where I was sitting, and they just went berserk. And I got that foreboding feeling that and it got cemetery quiet, and the storm, instead of coming, it went back to where it came from. I said, well, I've never seen a storm do that. You know, just reverse and go right back to the east and not come across the world. And about that time, I had that feeling. I said, oh, there's something watching me. So I'm just slowly scanning 50 feet off my side deck, facing east-northeast, is a Dogman. He was silver and black, and he matched that tree. And the tree he was wrapped around the backside of the tree, but he had his head right there where I could see it. And I looked at that thing, and it looked at me. I go, oh, I can't believe this. This thing's 50 feet from my house, looking dead at me. I know how fast these things are. I so I decided. There was no car, no traffic. In Dockside Cove Road and Windy Pines Lane is heavily traveled. There was no noise, nothing. So I got up and eased back in the garden room, and I went upstairs in that hot bedroom. I said, I think I'm safer up here. And then the Dogman disappeared. I didn't see it go down. I didn't want to see it go down.
Right.
And then another time was in like July or something like that of 2016, and I was laying on the couch. I just went and got an ice cold Diet Pepsi and was laying on the couch, and about 100 yards away, next to a pine tree, that's all brown and green, was a black Dogman standing up. Now this one resembled the Dogman on a book written by Leslie S. Mitch in 2014. We're good friends on Facebook. And it looked like that her book was called Lycan Joy's Super Soldier, Freedom Fighter. It's on Amazon. You need to read that book. It's an easy read. I've got dyslexia, but I was able to read it. It took me about 5 days to read it. And I said, oh my God, when I read her book, I said, this is a blueprint of the Civil War II that's going to hit us, hit America.
Right.
I mean, I believe in my heart, it may come after Trump wins the second term in office when he gets out in 2025. And I don't know who's running after that. I'm thinking we're going to see stuff we ain't never seen before. It looked like that. It looked just like that book cover, you go to Amazon.com and type in Leslie S. Mitts, M-I-T-T-S, and put in 2014 Life and Joys, and it'll show it to you.
All right. Now, we're coming up on time right now. Donald's got a lot of other information to share with us. He's been in law enforcement. He's overheard people speaking. He's going to come back and share some more information with us. I might possibly have him tomorrow. That way we can keep it all consecutive. Is that anything that you're up for doing tomorrow?
I'll do whatever you ask, sir.
All right. So tomorrow we will do part 2. And, it's been a pleasure having you on. And I really appreciate you coming and reaching out to me. It's been an honor, and I truly, truly appreciate it.
I feel the same way too, sir.
Is there anything that you'd like to say before we let go?
Well, I'd like to say, we appreciate Jeffrey to having this channel. We know he's been through quite a bit, and he deserves the support, the financial support. When you're able to, support him, he deserves that 100%. He has the best show on. And I love listening. I love going back and when William was on and really listening. This guy, Jeffrey's a real deal. He's not a CIA operative. He is a real deal. He's telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, the reason I'm sharing my location is I'm wanting you to understand. I want you to go to Google Maps and Google Pickwick, Down, Tennessee, 38365, and Google Maps, Towns, Tennessee, 38326, and then punch in 300 Windy Pines Lane. And then you will see, I don't live at 300, I live across the street. But I want you to see how heavily forested I live in. And you will understand why I'm having these cryptid encounters. I will get into it with you on the next show, why I feel like I'm having it encountered.
Yeah, definitely. We are officially out of time. I can't run out of time, otherwise I won't be able to upload it. So Donald, it's been a pleasure. Say goodbye to everybody, and we will see you tomorrow.
Okay, bye everybody, and please tune in and listen to not only my encounter stories, but other. Support this channel.
And there you have it, folks. Today's bonus. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you 4 years ago with Donald Coleman Jr. I think the next interview I ever did with him was like a year later. And then probably a year after that, I've not spoken with him in a very long time. I got to reach out to him and make sure he's doing all right. Older guy, not in the best of health, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been introduced to Tim Coonbo Baker. So I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that keeps this channel growing and going, and what gives folks like us a place and a chance to share our experiences judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.